All right, good morning, everyone. It's 1 minute after 9. Let's go ahead and begin. If you'll stand with me, we'll open with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful end of summer day, and we just praise you and give you the glory and honor because you are our God and our Creator, and we just give this meeting up to you and ask that you would preside, that you would guide and direct the conversations, the decisions, the future actions of this court and this county. Lord, we can't do anything successfully without you, and we know that. And in tough times, and it seems like it's been tough for a while economically, we just lean on you even more. But today, Lord, we just ask that you would make this an efficient meeting and an effective meeting. Bless all of the taxing entities now that are going through the budgetary process. We just thank you, Lord, for Cleve Johnson and for what he meant to this community, and we look forward to being able to honor him in an upcoming ceremony. We pray for his family, Lord, that you would comfort them during this time. Be with our servicemen and women, whether they're from our area or not, Lord. We just pray for an end to the conflict and for a safe return home. We ask it all in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone to our first meeting of the month of September 2014. Today is the 8th of September, and it's just a couple of moments after 9 o'clock. And we're going to begin here with item number 1, public comments and or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with section 551.042. I know I've got a request from our judge, and you can just leave that with Joyce. Was there anyone else that had signed up to speak? All right, we've got a judge and a constable that have got some business to tend to, so I'm going to kind of let them jump in here, and they're going to address a couple of items here on our agenda that we'll discuss a little further after they're gone, but I didn't want to have them called away with a pending matter that's, that they may get called away for. So, Judge, come on up to the podium if you would, and it is your turn.
I just want to say how much...
Is that on? Is that on? Just tap it. Tap it. There you go. Okay.
Just wanted to tell the public how much, and him and the police chief, how much I appreciate what they did for Clevie, for the wonderful ceremony that they put on and showed him honor like he should have been shown. And I'm sorry if I get emotional.
Yeah, it's a tough subject. I understand.
I just wanted you to know him. I appreciate it very much. And the police chief and all the first responders and everybody that participated in it. Second thing is, I want y'all to know, you the Commissioner's Court to know, how much Chris has helped us. He has been invaluable to us. He's just helped us to think, really, because, you know, this is, Clevie is dear to our heart. And he's just been so helpful, and I just couldn't ask for anything better than how he's treated us and Clevie's reserve deputies and the respect that he's had to us, and just wanted y'all to know that he's done a really good job in helping us, and I wanted to publicly thank him for that. Thank you, Chris. That's really all.
Anything else? For those of you that may not know what the relationship between Judge Dyke and Cleve Johnson, because they're both in Precinct 2, they work very closely together, and they've worked very closely together for many, many years. And this was a huge loss for Judge Dyke and her staff, and she has been very much reliant upon the services of others. And Chris, thank you for stepping over across the hall and helping them out. We'll look forward to discussing what we're going to do about filling in for this badly missed person here shortly. But thank you, Judge. At this time, even before we approve the minutes, I'm going to give the podium over to Constable Chris, and you've got something pending here, and I don't want to miss what you would have to say about this, but Chris Durant is the constable for precincts 1, 3, and 4, so jump down to item number 8, and let's give Chris a listen.
With the recent loss of Clevie, you know, we've all kind of been, I don't know, in shock, first and foremost, but I don't mind a bit, and I went to Paula and told her that I'd help out any way I could. Right now, at this time, I'm the only constable in the county. So my request today would be for Clevie's reserve officers, Jewel Lee and Lisa Tolan, to be moved over under Precinct 1's commission or whatever, however you want to say that, so they can be supervised and continue the good work and that they have done. They've been very valuable to the county, as all our reserves are. They put in numerous hours for free, and they're really good deputies, and for them to just kind of be shoved out the door. They would greatly help me in serving Precinct 2 until we get somebody appointed. So Jewel has... Would you introduce those two for us so that the audience can see Lisa and Jewel? Jewel Lee has worked for Clevie for, I believe, over 10 years as a reserve officer. Lisa just came on board last year, and they're both really good officers, or I wouldn't be up here requesting that they be put on. They will be supervised under me, and they will fall under my authority. And then when the next constable comes in, if that constable needs their help, then they can also work with him. So that's my request today, is for you, Commissioners Court, to allow me to take Jewel and Lisa on. And they've been kind of in limbo now for about 10 days just because they didn't have anybody that they were commissioned under, and so unfortunately they weren't able to just keep right on moving, and so we're going to take this action, which makes perfectly good sense to me. We don't want to fail to utilize their skills and talents and their knowledge about Precinct 2 business. Correct. And so if you have any questions for Jewel or Lisa or Chris, now's your chance to ask, but I think that this is a very logical and just the right thing to do at this time. All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Hinton and a second by Commissioner Hockaday, and so I'll ask for your vote on the approval for these two deputies to temporarily make a switch and work under Chris Durant. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And there are none. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all very much.
Judge, I would like to make this statement about Jewel and Lisa has worked with me, and I know Clevie has them out there working roads, and we've had some problems on the road with overweight trucks and stuff like this, and there's no telling that the hours that they've spent out there patrolling and doing different things, and I appreciate all the work that y'all have done. Really makes a difference.
All right. Thanks again. Whenever you all need to leave, Chris, feel free to leave. All right, I'm going to back up to item number 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from our August 25th, 2014 special meeting of the Commissioners Court, second meeting of the month of August. We have been having quite a few sets of minutes. We just have the one from our last meeting 2 weeks ago. Motion by Commissioner Hinton. Second. And a second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approval of those minutes, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Item number 3, presentation by Dr. Brad Johnson of Northeast Texas Community College. And along with Dr. Johnson in the audience is Dr. John McCullough. Welcome to both of you, and the podium is yours.
Thank you, Judge. I just want to say also that on the matter you all have just been addressing, the loss to our county, our college depends greatly on the cooperative work that is done by law enforcement across this county. And we're very grateful for the work that's done many times on our behalf and often without me even being aware of it. I just want to express that we're grateful for constable's service and sorry for that loss. I have a handout I'd like to make available to you before we get started. I'm here on behalf of the Board of Trustees of Northeast Texas Community College. Out of respect for one elected body to another, we wanted to be sure that we came and spoke to you in person and told you very briefly about the referendum that will be on the ballot November 4th regarding the repair and renovation of the 30-year-old buildings and core infrastructure of the college. We turned 30 this year, which means that 31 years ago, people in this area had a very important decision to make. And I think we've reached a point now where we can look back and realize that there was a tremendous amount of wisdom and foresight that went into that decision at that time. But most people are not in a position of recognizing perhaps the scope of that impact. So I wanted to quickly just make you aware of some things. In the last 30 years, Northeast has become a major contributor to our economy in this region. Consider just a few of these things. Northeast collects about $4 million of tax revenue across our tax district, which is Titus, Camp, and Morris County. And then turns around and leverages that and the authority of the state to exist as a community college into a $24 million annual operating budget. We provide 200 full-time white-collar jobs in this community and another 200 white-collar part-time jobs. Those jobs contribute in all kinds of ways, but as we have seen with the Pilgrims transition, it is really difficult to lose that particular group of workers within a local economy. And we provide goods and services purchased locally as well. But we don't exist just to provide jobs. In fact, we don't exist to provide jobs at all. We exist to provide education. And today, what that means is that for people in our community to go beyond a minimum wage job, they have to have some sort of skill or knowledge that is desired by an employer and desired enough to merit a wage above minimum wage. Northeast, with 2 years or less of post-secondary education, our graduates are earning in excess of $32,000 a year when they leave us. That's a tremendous change in economic position for people in our community. And that's for the students who stop at that point. Half of our students are intending to complete their baccalaureate degree, and the long-term life return on that decision is even greater. Northeast serves families by saving more than $40,000 a child in the cost of an undergraduate education. You may not know this, we bring about 1,300 students to us each year who live outside our district. So many of those students, when they come, their families come with them and spend a night or two in the hotel and come back to see them during the semester. Our athletic programs bring athletic teams to this area most weekends throughout the fall and spring, including this past weekend. So the role that we play is very important, and the community has been very generous to us in many ways. But the fact of the matter is that after 30 years, those original buildings and the infrastructure underneath that campus has aged out and is now in need of renovation and replacement. Our freshwater and wastewater systems are failing. Our chiller loop, which is the underground water system that facilitates the heating and cooling of those buildings, is failing. And these failures are occurring, for example, within a 12-month period of time. We had 16 major failures. When one of these systems fails, we lose restrooms, we lose cafeteria, We may be able to operate for a half day or so if we are busing people across to restrooms, but the fact of the matter is those systems, when they don't operate, can bring us to a halt very quickly. Our wastewater treatment facility is at 75% capacity, and you know TCEQ's standards on that means we are required to have a plan for expansion at this point. And if we cross 90% of capacity, we're required to have spades in the ground and have an expansion actually underway. We hit that threshold a little over a year ago, and in order to dial back to that 75% level, we have discontinued the use of trays in the cafeteria and use primarily paper products, because the washroom was one place we could reduce water usage enough to stay under that threshold. So these are not things where we've just kind of been bumping up. We actually have passed some of these thresholds in the last year or two, and it's necessary for us to address those. So what the college board did on August 12th was to call for 2 propositions to be on the ballot November 4th. The first proposition sets a 10-cent cap on maintenance and operations and allows voters to decide about the repairs and renovation of the campus. Proposition 2 then would authorize the sale of $19.9 million in bonds for that repair and renovation. Both propositions must pass because there is no room under our present cap to be able to sell the bonds otherwise. Early voting begins October 20th. It is a consolidated voting, which means that people will be able to vote wherever they will vote in the general election that day. And we hope that every registered voter will vote so that the decision that's made is a clear expression of the will of the people within our district. And with that, I'm open for any questions from the commission about this matter.
What's the impact on our taxpayers?
Thank you, Judge. The tax increase would be 3.6 cents per hundred valuation. Would take our total combined tax rate to 13.6 cents. And there are in the brochure, there's some points of comparison, but the average community college operations rate alone within the state is about a little over 14 cents. Our operations rate is 7.3 cents, so we're about half of the average rate within the state.
The cap was previously what, and it's going to go to what under this proposal?
The cap is today 10 cents, but the cap is defined right now as a combined rate, 10 cents of both debt and operations.
And it's been that way?
From the beginning. And we have in fact been at that cap pretty much since the inception of the college as well. As I mentioned before, Proposition 1 defines a 10-cent cap, but it is on the operations portion of the rate, and which is 7.3 cents. There is no intention to raise that 7.3 cents as part of these propositions or the actions of the board. What the board is trying to do is to address infrastructure, and that would be the interest in sinking or the bond payment portion. That would go from 2.7 cents to, Dr. McCullough, help me on my math. 6.3? Thank you. To 6.3 cents. And of course, those of you that are familiar with and accustomed to dealing with that, you know that the board has no authority to change that rate. The bond rate is set by the amount of taxes necessary to make the payment. So it's the board's intention to borrow at a fixed rate so that those, if tax valuations over time go up, that rate would actually go down, and it would not be open to the action of the board. It is just a mathematical calculation that's done by what it takes to service those bonds.
Do you have any initial indication of what kind of rate you can get and what's going to be the term of that bond offering?
This is Monday morning, isn't it? John, help me remember again, because I don't want to, on public record, get this wrong.
If you don't know, you don't know. But if you do
know,
I'm just curious.
The board was informed. I'm just trying to remember. 4.7 cents. Yes, and it was conservative on a number of fronts. It was conservative because the sale of these bonds wouldn't take place until around the end of the year or even early next year, and we are in a phase where rates appear to be heading up sometime in the future, so it was a conservative estimate.
20-year, 30-year?
30-year.
30-year. All right. When will you have, are there going to be any more public forums where you explain this and they give you input, things like that? And if so, where would they be? I might want to attend.
Yes. We're going to have public forums again in every county. We had them, some of you realize we had them on this same general subject a couple of months ago. We'll do them again now that we have the details. I don't have the dates and times with me, Judge, but we'll be putting them in the paper and advertising them pretty widely.
Okay.
We will also continue to make appearances anywhere that people gather and are willing to hear our a more detailed presentation than what I'm giving you this morning, where we go through the systems that need to be addressed and talk about why we're in the position we're in and so forth. So today I have, we'll be doing 4 more presentations today by the time we quit tonight. So your local civic clubs and anywhere else. But what I would most ask of you or anyone else who's interested in this is to come and take a tour. We're giving tours constantly. I don't think there's any better way to decide for yourself about this than to just come out and look at the campus. Every organization puts its best foot forward on a day-to-day basis, but at a moment like this, we really do need to take you behind the doors and show you the condition of things overall, not just that part that we put out on Friday night when you come to a scholarship banquet. So,
okay. Any questions for Dr. Johnson? Thank you for taking the time. John, thank you as well. I wish you the best of luck. I know how badly needed this is, and I know what a blessing NTCC has been in my life and the money that it saved me with my kids going out there and knocking off a half a year or a year of college. And 30 years, it's time to do something. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Sir?
October the 15th is the Titus County Town Hall meeting.
Where will that be? At
It'll be at the Civic Center in the Walnut Room at 6 o'clock.
October 15. Thank you. You all feel free to come and go as you need to. We'll move on to item number 4, and Judge McNutt asked to have this on the agenda. She wanted to recognize a couple of her employees and their achievements, but she is unfortunately not able to attend today. Something came up on Friday, and she knew she would not be here, so I'll ask that you allow me to table this. Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of tabling item 4, say aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, item number 5, discuss the, is Steve Austin here? I don't see Steve. Discuss the line of duty memorial ceremony on Thursday, September 11th. That is this Thursday, September 11th, very famous date for our country, and Steve Austin has chosen that date many, many months ago and has organized a fantastic ceremony this Thursday. We will be gathering out here on the east parking lot. He has got a wide array of things that are going to be going on that day, and he says it'll last about an hour, but it will be a wonderful opportunity. The public is invited, and so I wish he was going to be here to share some details, but I know he's working on this right now. So just remember that, this Thursday, don't forget, this Thursday out here on the east. And I believe he's starting it at 9 o'clock, I believe. Let me... well, I don't have it. I don't even have my phone to check my calendar. Would you grab my phone out of there or see if I have it written down? I'd like to be able to tell these folks exactly what time it's going to begin. And item number 6, right along with this, and very fitting, interesting how the timing has worked out. But Steve Austin did pull some strings and got this done where he can have Cleve Johnson's name added to this memorial, the line of duty for those that have been killed in the line of duty. And we will be able to add him on there with your approval. And so item number 6 is to consider and possibly approve the addition of Constable Cleve Johnson to the line of duty memorial, again, that will be presented this week. I need a motion. Did I hear one? Okay, motion by Commissioner Fields. And I'll second that. All those in favor of adding Cleve Johnson to our line of duty memorial, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. 9 a.m. this Thursday, 3 days from now, 9 a.m. East parking lot here on the square. All right, and once again, in keeping with the theme here of our loss to Precinct 2, I would like to discuss and possibly take action on what we're going to do with the vacancy in our Precinct 2 constable position. And with John Mark's assistance and assistance from the Constables Association, Texas Association of Counties, and did you make a phone call to anybody and with a phone call to a trusted legal advisor, we seem to have a very clear direction that we need to go. And that is, we can, because there was not enough time between the loss of Cleve and our upcoming November election, there had to have been a minimum of 74 days, we do not have an opportunity to place this position on the ballot in our November general election. And in the absence of the ability to do that, our options are, 1, make no replacement at this time, postpone that replacement, wait until the next general election in 2016, or the Commissioner's Court can appoint someone to fill this unexpired term. One of the other requirements that we must meet that makes it a little more limited in scope is that the replacement, whether it's an elected person ultimately or whether it is an appointed person, this person must reside in Precinct 2. And I've shared this with most of you so you could be thinking about this, but I have reserved any discussion for the most part with you until now to ask the court what you would like to do with this vacant constable position.
Judge, I'll tell you what I would prefer us doing is giving everybody about 2 weeks from today to turn in their resumes and their applications that will be interested in this position. And then that week sometime call a special meeting and us go into executive session and interview those people.
Okay.
That would be my preference.
Okay.
The way to handle that.
Would you like for me to advertise this? Do you want to trust word of mouth, or would you like to see an ad in the paper? Okay. All right.
And you know, like you say, you've already gave them the qualifications for it, so you know they'll know that they got to live in that precinct.
Well, and beyond that, they need to either be a commissioned officer or they need to have 60 hours of college, essentially an associate's degree. I would sure like to see us consider somebody who is commissioned, although that's not an absolute requirement. We want to give this person every additional bit of support that we can to make sure that they're successful in this position. So I think that, yes.
Would you clarify, do they have to live in the precinct for 6 months prior to the day that they're appointed, or is it as of the date of the appointment?
I believe it's as of the date of the appointment. I do need to verify that.
I can't find it anywhere.
Okay.
I found something that says qualify as of the precinct 6 months.
Well, as I recall, I remember seeing it as of the day of the appointment. I haven't seen that 6-month requirement on there, but
Find that out
Okay.
From somebody who knows.
Yeah, because that's important as well. Somebody could make a quick change to that precinct and qualify, but not if there's a 6-month requirement there. All right.
Need to make that into a motion.
Yeah, is there anybody, you've heard what Commissioner Hockaday thinks is a good move. Is there anybody else with a differing idea?
Judge, I think that's very good, Thomas, to do it like that. Also, when we do the interviews and stuff, I would like to also talk with the sheriff and Paula and Chris and help us in things maybe we may not know or understand, but we can talk with them on the job duty and stuff. I think all of us pretty well know because we had to take a class. But anyway, I would like them to be there to ask them questions, not necessarily when we're interviewing, but I just like to get their opinion.
They don't need to be in when we're going to executive session. You can ask them out.
I'm not talking about that.
When they're interviewing, they don't need to be in there.
I wonder if this is an elected position, that it should be in executive session, so the public should be able to.
Dealing with personnel, you always go into the executive session on that.
Well, it's not personnel exactly.
Yeah, you don't do that outside.
We'll get an opinion on that. Again, this is not an elected position. This is an appointment at this time, but that's worth looking into. I'll find out about that if we can go into executive session. I would certainly think we could, but let's be sure. All right, a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, a second by Commissioner Hinton, and here's the game plan. We're going to take about 2 weeks here, run a couple of ads in the newspaper, trust that word will spread, that we are looking for some applicants that would be interested and capable and qualified to fill in this position. And then we will plan after that couple of weeks. We'll gather again in some kind of a special meeting, whether it's in or out of executive session, and we will hopefully make a clear decision on this. All right, all those in favor of this plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item number 9, update on county construction projects. Chris, if you'll bring us up to speed on where we are with stuff you've got in process and what we've got that we want to consider going forward with.
Actually, we have information on items 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 in this package. The adult probation is 3 weeks away from being completed. The ceiling grid is up, and they'll be putting the ceiling tile in this week, as well as starting the floor tile. It'll take them about 10 days to put the floor tile in. If there is a delay between the ceiling tile and the floor tile, they'll come back in and relocate all the lights into the grid because they're all wired in. They're all in there, so they'll drop those in. The mill work has already started, which is the desk for the reception desk. That's started and being built off-site and be brought back in. Furniture is scheduled to be delivered, I think, on the 23rd of September, so that final week. So they'll be ready to move in on the 1st of October. Everything's moving along fine. There was a little delayed there when the doors didn't come in. The doors were supposed to be in on August 18th. They're being special made. They were delayed till September the 10th. So the doors are supposed to be in this Wednesday. They'll stain and put those in as soon as the floor is in. The Ratliff building, which y'all have already authorized to go out for bids, we've decided to wait and start the construction on those until after the election. Give everybody some more time. We also did some redesign of the desk area for the tax and vehicle registration. They went from a regular desk height to a counter height. So we redesigned that, so that's what delayed it going out earlier. But there will be eight separate bid packages, same way we did the adult probation, and be for different packages, so we can go out and get different bids from a lot of different folks on it, like we did on adult probation.
When you say a bid package, you're talking about breaking it down like plumbing, HVAC, millwork? Okay.
Correct. And what we found by doing that is we get a lot more of the local bidders. When we put it out just for all as one work, the general contractors in the area generally have favored subs. so we don't get the best pricing. By breaking it out and basically the county acting as the general contractor, we're getting better prices on all the subcomponent parts. So the county's actually saving money by doing that, as well as promoting more local businesses. And in conversations, because when we started this whole project, we actually started a bid list of different contractors. They were welcoming this because now they can bid, and you don't get the write-up on it that you get the general contractor normally does. So they're liking it better. They're smaller projects, so they can bid on it, and there's a lot more comfort level on it.
And that's the south side of the building.
Elections administration is the south side, and it's still at the original amount that we talked about earlier. And then the phase 2, which would probably happen after the first of the year, would be for tax and vehicle registration. And working with Judy, she liked that better idea too, to do it after the holidays. So everybody seems to be happy with the delay. That's where the current projects are. And any questions?
Any questions on any of those projects? All right, you feel pretty comfortable by the end of September we can be ready across the street? Okay. Because Lou will hold you to that. All right, thank you.
Okay.
I got a question. Anyway, Carl, you know how much this has cost us at adult probation? Any way you can tell? I'm talking about, yeah, I mean, you have, I'm talking about all the different stuff.
Yeah, it is broken down in the budget. I don't have it in front of me. Those numbers are there.
I'd like to know if it's possible. Surely you know.
I haven't seen this page you gave us. Does it have any numbers on it?
It doesn't have that total number, but it's on the last update. It's in the neighborhood of about 220,000 for everything. It's exactly what was agreed to. And we were actually below what was agreed to, except for we had a modification to replace the 2 air conditioning units. That was like $6,400.
On just the adult probation renovation, it's $228,391.
So far?
Well, then the things we've added to that, though, the furniture package,
The air conditioning.
the repair that we have, but again, that's been 2 months or so ago.
And the security and communication.
What? No, I know, but that's some of the things that have increased that original figure that was about 225.
Budget in here for you for $2,141 for we had to do some of the computer network with K-Bro. I think the original number of adult probation was 220.
That's correct.
And so there's a few things like this is on 228. There was another cost for demolition cost. I don't remember how much that was.
30. It was in the 30 range, the demolition that was done.
Then the Cadell building was probably another 25.
24 and some change.
Well, can we get together a total and just show from start to finish, show what all we've put into that building from the birth of this project up to where we are now, or where we expect that to finish?
Then on the furniture, we've got another possible solution.
Right.
Using that intervention money to pay for
Right.
it rather than the county.
Yeah, and the final bill to the county was about, what, $24,000 after probation picked up some of the cost of those chairs. And then now we're talking with John Mark Coburn and Gilbert with adult probation to be able to utilize some $29,000 that's still in the pretrial intervention fund that has not been spent. And so that may reduce our furniture costs significantly. Okay, well that was not an action item, that item number 9. Are we ready to move forward to an action item number 10? Okay, go ahead, Chris. Item number 10 is to consider and possibly approve an expenditure of $850 for engineering fees on the adult probation remodel.
The state of Texas, the Texas Board of Engineering, Texas State Board of Engineering has a law that was passed relatively recently that said if the cost of mechanical or electrical work goes above $8,000, you're required to have engineered sealed drawings for it. When we started the adult probation, we were going to reuse the existing air conditioning units, and the actual bids that we got in from the 3 bids, we got bids from Thompson, Roberts, and Woods. 2 of those bids were at like $7,000, $7,500, so they were under the $8,000 limit. Once the air conditioning units were vandalized, we had to go buy 2 new 5-ton units. That put the cost over $8,000. By state law, we were required to get an engineer to design and approve it, or at least to inspect what we had designed. We went to Longview, the Total Engineering Services, and they basically looked at both the mechanical and the electrical, redid drawings, rechecked all the calculations for the sizing of the duct and the unit, and basically proved it. We sent sealed drawings to the state. Their cost for preparing those to meet the state law was $850, which is a very cut rate price for them doing that. Had we used the engineering services up front, knowing that we were going to need to go over the $8,000, that cost could have been as much as 4 to 5 times that amount under normal engineering. But these guys kind of did it as a favor because they knew what we do here, and they do a lot of work for Prefert, and I'm going to be using them on several other projects here. So they gave us a cut rate on it, so it's only going to cost the county $850 for their fee to get those state engineered drawings.
Are we going to have any of those fees there, like at the Ratliff building?
No, not unless there's a problem that comes up. I did check with the state this morning with Rick Valdez, and we asked about the total price of the project because we are breaking them into separate projects. None of the projects is over that $8,000 range. That's perfectly legal to do. If we had another problem, we had some vandals and stuff, then it's possible it could go over the $8,000, which we'd have to go back through that same process. But right now, the prices that we've got and the estimates that we've got show nothing over the $8,000 on the separate projects for the Ratliff building.
All right, any questions on that?
Yeah, they remodeled this building across the way, and the architect, second building from the corner on the north side of the square here, and they said that the structure wasn't good enough to, so they demolished it, the
right.
upper part of it. These buildings were built about the same time as this annex. How about the structure over there? Have we had an engineer or somebody check that structure to make sure that we're doing everything within the safe, or maybe
we haven't done anything to the structure. It is a public works project, so that's a little different from what you had over there. That was a private project. The rules are different between private and public projects. There is nothing wrong with the structure that's over there right now. We did have an engineer walk through it. There was nothing there. We did not touch anything on the structure. Everything we did was non-structural on the inside. So all the adult probation, all the walls on the inside are non-structural walls.
I don't know about, but your government code says that any building that for public service has to be approved and engineered.
Or if it's over $50,000 in total cost, it has to have a licensed architect, which I am, on the drawings, and that's what you've had on there all the time. So you've met the licensing requirements by virtue of my participation in it.
I've never seen the drawings other than the sketches that you've made.
Those are the drawings.
Huh?
Those are the drawings, and they are sufficient.
All right, any questions? Need a motion on that. Motion by Commissioner Hinton to approve the $850 for engineering fees on the adult probation remodel.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fields. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Chris, item number 11, consider and possibly approve a plan for repair and renovation of the annex corner storefront from the new probation office to Madison Street.
When we did the demolition across the street and we took down the awning, we got approval to actually take down the awning from the Main Street Committee, which is one of the requirements locally here. When we were taking down the awning, especially on that corner, it was failing. And it's a good thing we took it down when we did, or it might have fallen on somebody. It was all completely rotted around that corner, so we had to take it out, or because it was a danger. So what we've got now is the old canopy out. You've seen what's going on across the street right now in front of adult probation. When we brought the adult probation elevation to the main street, we went ahead and got their approval for the rest of the front of the buildings as to the look. So they've already approved the ideas for the corner. What you've got right now is that corner unit that needs to be repaired. It's still leaking water from all those windows at the top. And it's part of the problem was it was leaking before because all of the wood connection for that awning was all rotted, and that's what was failing. So all that's been pulled out. The plan is, and what's been approved visually by the Main Street Committee, is to match what's happening on adult probation. Basically to repeat that same look on the front of that building. That will make the building usable. Right now at this current point it's not really usable with the current front. That would make it usable for either the county or for leasing or for selling. It will improve the value of that corner as well as the aesthetics for the square going forward. You have some sketches in your package that kind of show what was approved. It's also got the 45-degree on the corner there where the doors and stuff would go in. We would basically match what's happening on adult probation with the brickwork, with the energy efficient windows, the exterior lighting, doors, awning construction, and then the CM services. Estimated right now at about $30,000 to $32,000 to replace all of that and get rid of that storefront.
Well, gentlemen, this is not something that I'm pushing you to do, but Chris did ask me about it. We have discussed it on multiple occasions. This needs to be your decision. Here is a portion of that annex over there. We don't have an immediate use for it. Don't even have any thoughts at this time. You've got kind of, it's simply an aesthetic decision there, as well as we do have some leaks like he was mentioning that will continue to, I guess, be a problem. I don't know, can it deteriorate what's there if it continues to leak?
Yeah, it's still deteriorating because the leaks weren't fixed. We got rid of the safety problem with the canopy, but they've still got the leaks in the walls.
So obviously, without an immediate need for that corner, this is not an urgent item. Do you want to continue and clean up the rest of that span there? Again, going around the corner where Dr. Witt's original entrance was. This does not include any refurbishing along the north-south wall on Madison Street. This stops at the 45-degree corner entrance for Dr. Witt's office and would give you a similar look to the quality that you've got there in front of adult probation. $32,000, it's not cheap, and it's certainly not free. So I just wanted you to be able to ponder that, make a decision, postpone a decision, whatever you would like to do.
My preference would be wait for a while on that.
Okay.
Spending $32,000 now.
Anybody else? Okay. All right. You want to put that in the form of a motion, Commissioner?
I'm going to make that into a motion to delay that to a later date.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday to delay any further work there on the front facade of our annex until a future point. And then we've got a second by Commissioner Hinton. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you, Chris. Item number 12, consider and possibly approve the expansion of the county computer room located in the annex.
This is the space that's located next to the district judge's office, right in the corner. It would be the northeast corner of the building. There is a small office. There is a small, very congested room where they've got the computers, where all the control point is for the whole county network comes into that room. There is a storage room in the corner that we're looking to take in to expand that space and actually provide the guys workspace where they can actually work on the computers in that room. There's no way to do that right now. Would also include the addition of a new rack, a computer rack. The one they've got is at capacity right now and needs to be moved over to another wall. We would take out a wall, replace a doorway, and build some shelving and some workspace for these guys. It's estimated at about $11,000. You've got the scope of work there in your package and a drawing that kind of shows what we're looking at doing, the walls that we're taking out. And we'll close in that hallway as part of that office, giving them with about a 24 by 30 computer room right there in that corner. We'll reuse the existing electric and air conditioning that's in there right now. You do have an electric panel in that corner, and you have the one of the main air conditioning units that services part of that building in that room also. We won't be touching those except for painting the outside of the wall. We will be adding communications outlets and electrical outlets above the workbench so they can plug in the computers as they're working on them.
You said the dimension was 24 by 30?
It's about, it's 24 on the short side and maybe 30 on the long side, 28, 30 on the long side.
What is that room in there they're working in right now, 24 by?
Well, the office area is 12 by 12, and the other is 24 by 12. Okay. It's an 8, I mean, it's a, excuse me.
It's a tight area. If you haven't been in there, it's difficult to work. Their office is separated from the area where all the computer equipment sits. Then you've got that hallway there on the left drawing, and the walls that would come out marked with the X's. That storage room there is currently, we're storing some stuff for the court reporter.
There are 8 file cabinets in it with only 3 that have Christmas decorations, and then there's a couple of them that have tapes. The court reporter has got tapes, but we've got a place to relocate those next to her office so they're more secure and can be locked up in an office right next to her. She's got an office right next to her that's got a refrigerator and a table in it, and there's nothing else there, and there's plenty of room to put the file cabinets over there. So
okay, so we'll still have one entry door into the K-Bro's work area. Their office then becomes encompassed into this entire work area. We eliminate the storage room. It becomes a L-shaped workbench. Just a whole lot easier to breathe and a whole lot better organized than it is right now. It is way past its useful life over there. When would you bid this if they were to approve this?
Well, what I would, since this is under the, I mean, what I'd do is probably go out and get 3 or 4 bids, unless you want me to actually put it in the paper and bid it. We can do that also with what we've got here. I've already talked to...
With what you've got in for the Ratliff building, bid it at that same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. I mean, we could go to bid on the computer room this afternoon. And I've already talked to 3 vendors, 3 contractors that would be interested in bidding this: Stansel, D'Angelo, and just one, Jones, Richard Jones. So they'd all be interested just to start with. But we can actually, I will, if we put it out for bids, I'll actually make calls to everybody that's on the list. And in this case, I'd probably just do it as one project instead of trying to break it into separate pieces. This project will have to be phased, so we maintain county operations. So we'll actually move the rack, get the new rack, put it on the other side of the wall, move everything over to the new rack, get the tile floor done in that area, and then complete the rest of it, so we don't lose any operations for the county.
Does that $11,000 include the cost of that rack?
Yes.
Okay. And there's no furniture to go along with it, so that's pretty well an all-inclusive price, do you think?
I think that's in the ballpark. And the rack, and I mean, he's going to get a bigger rack. We haven't, I mean, the racks aren't that expensive. The computers are the stuff that run the cost up. All the computers are already there. We're just moving it to a different rack. So.
All right. What would you like to do on this?
Well, it looks to me like we need to go out for bid and then approve this money instead of approving $10,000 or $11,000 before we get bids, isn't it?
You're exactly right, and that was certainly my intention, is not to say, start the work, and here's what we think it's going to cost. It would simply be to give him direction on what to do and give you an idea of what it will cost, but we will absolutely bid this before doing anything else. So at most, that's all I would ask you for today.
What did you say?
The most that I would ask you to do today is to allow him, is to approve going to bid for the project. Then he can bring it back to you and say, well, here's what it actually ended up, and then you can either approve it or not at that time.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday to authorize Chris to go out for bids on the expansion of the computer room.
I second it.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. All in favor of going to bid only on the computer room expansion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you, Chris. And one last item here, construction related. Number 13, consider and possibly approve repairs at the 2 county way stations on Interstate 30.
As you may be aware, they've had a rat problem, and part of it was the way it was constructed. They did not do any closures. The R5 metal panels that are on there, they allows rats to get in above the ceiling, which makes a great nesting place in all the insulation. The rats are dying. Obviously, there's a problem. It now needs to be cleaned up, but before we clean it up, we need to fix their entry points. Their entry points are at the top of the walls and in the openings in the roof. I had 2 folks look at it already, and we've got a solution. The solution and the scope of that is in your package there of how we fix that. I estimated that it would be in the $7,000 to $8,000 range. I do have 2 proposals already, but if your desire is to go out and get some more bids, I will do that too. I've got some more folks that may want to bid on it. I have 2 proposals right now, as you can see, one from $5,500 from Stansel and one for $11,200 from D'Angelo. I would like to go out.
What's the difference in those? Something's wrong.
I asked the same question. I talked to both of them yesterday afternoon. Stansel is in the metal building business, and so he can fix it a lot quicker. D'Angelo's not a metal building expert as Stansel is. So Stansel didn't see it as a big deal to fix.
Was that just a design flaw there, or could this happen in any metal building? I don't understand enough.
It's not a design flaw because there is a fix. There's a piece missing. Basically, they don't cap off the top of the wall. There's a piece of metal that should come across, and where the R panel opens up at the top, there's a piece of metal that should come and close it, and that way nothing could get inside.
Does rain come in it?
No, because it's under the eave. Okay. It's under the eave of the roof, so.
But there's still holes that are big enough where the rodents can crawl up that wall and go in that, and then that puts them inside the crawl space above the suspended ceiling?
Correct.
Okay, and then once they're in there, tough to get back out, or what?
Oh, they've just got a great place to live, so.
But there's a bunch of dead rats in there. I wonder why is that?
And so it's not going to be a clean, it's going to be kind of a nasty job to clean up, I'm sure. They'll have to cover all the equipment and stuff that's in there when they start pulling out that ceiling tile, because there'll be all kinds of
And Stansel understands with his bid that that's part of the deal, that cleanup and replacing the ceiling tiles, not just fixing the outside entry points.
He's actually got it in his, I've got his bid right here, and he actually covers it exactly, that he'll cover all the stuff, he'll clean up all the debris, and dispose of all the debris, cover and protect the equipment on the interior when it's done. And that's for both. I even called him and I said, well, maybe it's the price for a building, because there's 2 buildings. And he said, no, that's for both of them.
That's the north and south side.
Correct.
And what that'll do for our guys that work out there, that work those stations, is it'll eliminate that bad smell, as one would imagine, for dying rats being in the suspended ceiling. And this was something that came up during the budget process when we were talking with the gentleman there from DPS, and they went into detail about this. All right, what would you like to do with this project?
Mike had mentioned something about getting another bid from somebody. Or is that what we want to do, or what do you?
So, I mean, I can go get, you mentioned Richard Jones was always interested. I can go get Richard to, if you want a third bid, I can do that.
Ken, I'd like to.
Any other metal building guys you want him to contact? Would you say that's the emphasis of this job, is the metal work?
Primarily, I mean, the ceiling tile anybody can do. That's not that big a deal. And the price is pretty well set. It's like $3 a square foot to replace ceiling tile. So it's, the only thing that's the differential is how they fix the metal siding and how much effort is perceived that it's going to take to do that.
All right.
This is already bid for people with public information. You're going to have to put this more bids. You're going to have to put them on. Seal bids or something. Let them know.
Are those bids or quotes? Are they bids or quotes?
Either way, you allow somebody else to come in.
Well, we didn't do that on the lawn deal.
Yeah, we did tell all of them.
We went back and did it again, but it wasn't done right. Whatever we done, it wasn't.
You've got all, you either need to advertise in the paper, that anybody that wants to make a proposal to you, and then open it all one time. Keep piecemeal like that.
Is there, I was under the understanding that there was a threshold at which the county had to bid versus just getting quotes.
That's true. The threshold's $50,000.
Okay.
It's just being fair to everybody.
To be fair to the two guys that have already given you a proposal, give them another shot to revise their numbers if you get another number from somebody else.
All right, that's fine. I'm fine with doing that. It's just whatever y'all want to
Go
do.
ahead and do what we got then.
You just soon go ahead and go with what we got? To me, that 5,500 looks like a bargain. I'm shocked by it.
That's what I was.
7,000.
What's that?
Built my barn for 7,000.
Well, maybe you can help him. Okay, would you like for him to go out for bids, or do you want to approve with what he's got here?
I'm gonna make a motion to go ahead and approve the $5,500 to the Stansel.
All right, motion by Commissioner Hockaday to authorize Stansel Construction to do this repair project at the two weigh stations. And I've got a second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Anything else to ask? Construction related? Chris, thanks for pulling all this stuff together. And then you're anticipating going out for bid on the on these other two, on the Ratliff building and then the computer room here this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
The packages are ready. I just was waiting till we had this meeting to make sure that what I was all putting out there.
Do I need to plan on putting that on an agenda in a couple of weeks, or maybe 4 weeks from now?
I would say on the computer room probably in a couple of weeks, because it'll be real easy to bid. There's no really rush on the Ratliff until after the election.
Okay.
So if you
Then
want
I'll
to
just put I'll just put the computer room project in there for now. Do you feel like we're going to gain any cheaper price by lumping that together, or is that a project we need to get working on prior to, late November? The computer room. In other words, we're not going to benefit any by a guy saying I'll give you a better price on the computer room if I get to do the work on the Ratliff building.
Not really. They're two separate areas. And,
Okay.
And actually, it would give people more people a chance to bid.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well then I'll plan in 2 weeks, Carolyn, if you'll put that on the agenda to open and approve bids on the computer room expansion. All right, thank you very much. Item number 14, status report on the Titus County pass-through projects. I don't have a formal report from PTP, although I've had quite a few meetings, as have some of the other commissioners, on what's going on. But to expand on the disappointing news about FM 4000, or FM 1000 as it's been called initially, we will not be able to open that east-west route from Tractor Supply out to the road there that the college is on, due to the fact that we have missed the September 1 seal coat deadline. The plan right now, and I've met in my office Friday morning with PTP and with James Construction Group, one of their high-up guys from James Construction Group, and it is their plan to continue to work on that project and do everything that they can possibly do besides the seal coat before they head home for the winter. And realistically, it's our guess that that will be late November before they get done with the things that they need to get done. Now, in my experience, things never happen when you predict they're going to happen 2.5 months away. Not really my concern. We can't use the road, but I want them to get everything possibly done that can be done before they head home, so that when they return on May 1, we hope, of 2015, that all they have to do is do some repair work to the base material that has been uncovered throughout the winter and begin the process of the final seal coat there in May or mid-May of next year. Now, there's a lot of work to be done. Our main priorities right now, and they understand this, are to improve the situations that we've got on the Chapel Hill Road, number 1, and the Union Hill Road. We've got a real problem on the Chapel Hill Road there. As you're trying to get back and forth to school and to college, and that road narrows down, you can barely get bicycles through there, much less cars. So we are hoping that they are going to get that finished, and TxDOT has given them some options as far as what they can do to get that road surface complete, whether it's seal coat with a fog seal, assuming that the weather stays reasonably warm. We know that it's not going to meet their September 1 requirements, and there will have to be some alterations done to the seal coat since it is being laid after September 1. But what we seriously talked about Friday was whether or not James Construction would be willing to use asphalt at those cross street areas there where FM 4000 intersects there with Chapel Hill Road, and that Chapel Hill Road is torn up there, you know, for nearly 2 miles along there. So there's quite a bit of road work to be done, and it will be a sizable expenditure to move up to the quality of asphalt. But knowing the problems that James Construction Group faces if they put something down that deteriorates over the winter because it was not done properly during the warm part of the year, they understand that they're going to have to come back and tear up a bunch of road and redo it next spring. So pay me now or pay me later. We are awaiting their decision on that. And I don't know what that will be. But again, do everything that they can do before they head home for the winter, start back up in the springtime was the plan as it stands right now. We appear to be on schedule for 271 opening next week. Now that is after a drive-through and walk-through with PTP and Roger Ledbetter from our local TxDOT office. Roger does not have the final approval ability. That will be made by the Atlanta office, and Mr. Bob Ratcliffe will be out here himself this week. He was out of town last week, but I have been in communication with him, and it is his plan to be here this week. We will hope that Mr. Ratcliffe has only relatively minor punch list items to be completed, some of which could be done after the road was open. We are hoping he does not come up with something that puts a halt on our next Tuesday opening. So again, with all of the powerful people we had here in town last week looking over that project one last time, we think we are ready. But again, can things change? Yes, they can. But we will certainly hope for a next Tuesday, September 15th, opening on that 271 portion of the loop. And we will try to have a little brief ceremony and a ribbon cutting for that, but we will see how that goes. People will be anxious to jump on that thing and speed through there at 70 miles an hour. I don't know what the posted limit will be, but it is such a nice road. Gosh, I've had the opportunity to ride on it, and you can really fly through there because it's a nice, safe, wide, concrete road. Commissioner Fields, anything to add to
Finished
this?
The bridge that goes over the railroad and over 271, all that's been completed. They put the middle barricade up going over the bridge. I drove on it Friday and drove on it again Saturday, and all that's completed right now. They're just a punch list. They're going through cleaning up and
striping, signage.
The signs are up. They're striping right now. They've got probably 80% of that done. Now, sometime this week, they will open up 271 South.
The frontage roads.
The frontage road on the west side.
Move it over to the west side, and
yes.
They'll both be open, or will they get traffic off of
Both will be open. The part that goes up over 271 will stay closed till next Tuesday.
Will you explain what will happen at the railroad crossing there at, is that 3417? There at Newlywed Foods?
Okay, what we had, you have to get approval through the railroad, Union Pacific Railroad, to set up the sequence that they need for red lights and those type of things. To get that approval, you have to go through Union Pacific. In the process, it takes about 90 days to do that. Okay, the sequence and everything is going to stay just like it was before, but we've got to get reapproval of that thing. But we've talked with TxDOT, and they said we can put a stop sign there at the railroad and continue to do that till we get the okay from the Union Pacific. So
and flashing lights, too.
And flashing lights, too. But that's something that I don't know if it was overlooked or not. I don't think anybody really thought, since the sequence and everything was going to be the same as before, it would be okay. But anyway, we still have to get a okay from Union Pacific Railroad. So, but it's not going to delay anything. It will be the same process. You'll have flashing lights. You'll have stop signs off 3417 coming over the railroad track. And you'll stop there, and then you've got a medium in there that you can go across and then turn. But it'll be stop signs used to start with.
Will south and northbound traffic on the new 271 frontage roads have to come to a stop there at 3417?
No, it'll be a flashing yellow light,
okay.
Just to slow down, be cautious going through that area.
Okay.
Be there.
Just the east-west traffic coming from the airport or coming from Newlywed Foods will have to come to a stop there.
Right.
Of course, at the stop at the railroad tracks, if there's a train, but then once they pull down there and they are right at the intersection with the new frontage road, there'll be a stop light flashing red there.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Frontage road, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Flashing light at the frontage road?
Flashing light on the frontage road. Now we'll have both northbound and southbound frontage roads open on either side of the big wide construction area, but there as you're turning on to Newlywed Foods, traffic coming from Newlywed Foods towards the airport will have to stop there at a flashing red, which will ultimately be controlled by the cross arms of the railroad in being in communication with the red lights there at that intersection. Did you have anything you wanted to say regarding the Chapel Hill project? Okay.
No, you know, you talked about 1735, the College Road, which is, that really is a dangerous situation right there, because I went through there the other day, and when I entered the construction, it was not a car behind me, and by the time I got to the other end, it was 5 behind me, and it was right on my bumper door. It's all going to the college, so, you know.
Well, we have asked for some additional signage. We cannot change the speed limit. We can put out warning signs and suggestions all day long, but if people will not slow down on those narrow roads, yes, we're going to have problems. But we are certainly...
on one side and a bulldozer on the other side, and they just, you know,
we've got to slow down out there. But for folks out there that go to school at the college or at Chapel Hill School, it is a real problem for which we apologize. Any other questions or comments? Anybody in the audience have a question that I can research for you? All right. Item number 15, consider and possibly take action on a plan to open the 271 portion of the loop. I don't know that I have anything else to talk about here other than perhaps the timing. If we are fortunate enough to get final TxDOT approval to open that, would you anticipate maybe a small ceremony that morning, that afternoon? What do you think?
I would anticipate, I would like to do it about 9 a.m. That way everybody that's going to work will be at work or going to college or going to school. The traffic volume should be probably at one of its lowest points during the day. That way, do the ceremony, get everything open, and it'll be ready for traffic that afternoon. We can start opening. We'll open one lane at a time. One side at a time, I'm sorry, not one lane. But,
okay. Well, I don't know that this requires any action, but everybody okay with, if we have approval with having a brief ceremony Tuesday morning, the 15th, I'll put that in the form of a motion, that if we have TxDOT approval, then let's plan to have the morning of the 15th, Tuesday morning. Is that the 16th? I keep saying the 15th. The 16th is the target of having a small ceremony there at the north end or the south end?
The north end.
At the north end, okay. Well, that would be, okay, motion. I'll second that. All those in favor of that plan that hopefully will not have to change, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, item number 16, open bids and possibly award a contract for the application of seal coat on County Road 1905. And this is one of our energy reinvestment, transportation reinvestment zones, is that right? And Commissioner Riddle, this is yours, right?
Yes.
Right. And I know there's a logical answer for this, but I see the word seal coat, and it makes my skin crawl. How can we do this seal coat job here this year?
Yeah.
And what's different about this?
You just said it was not like blue, but we got it.
Okay. All right. Is this your only one to open? Okay. This is from Nitex Construction Limited in New Boston.
Guy didn't. All guy didn't send one in.
Okay.
James said he sent it to him.
All right, price per gallon of oil, $4.25, and price per cubic yard of cover stone, $75. Nitex's total bid for the project is $43,120 even, based on 14,080 square feet. Road edges will be cut, soft spots fixed, culverts replaced by Titus County. How does that meet your expectation? Good?
Yep.
That's good news?
It's good deal. Yeah. I was concerned it'd be higher. Yeah. I'll make a motion we accept this bid.
Motion by Commissioner Riddle to accept the bid of Nitex Construction, New Boston, Texas, again for seal coat job on 1905 in the amount of, what is it, 43,020?
43,120.
43,120 based on $4.25 oil and $75 rock. I'll need a second on that.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Item number 17, consider and possibly approve a proposal of the 2015 tax rate. I have put some calendars and a couple of other pieces of paper over there with some interesting information on there, but I have laid out for you in that calendar. Today we're just proposing a tax rate. That doesn't mean that that will be the final tax rate. In fact, I have reason to believe there may be a significant change after tomorrow, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But we have got tax rate hearings and budget hearing. And if you'll bear with me here, and there's a copy of this calendar again, or I'll get some additional copies. This week we will publish public rate hearings, number 1 and number 2. The first tax rate hearing will be the 17th, next week, Wednesday at 9 a.m. The second tax rate hearing will be 8 days later on Thursday, the 25th at 6 p.m. And we had some time constraints that we had to work within, hence the oddball days for some of these meetings. But that gives us 2 tax rate hearings on Wednesday the 17th, Thursday the 25th, a budget hearing Monday. That'll be the first part of our 6 p.m. Commissioners Court on the 22nd, 2 weeks from today. So again, 2 tax rate hearings, 1 budget hearing, and then the ultimate meeting at the end of the month there on the 29th, a meeting to adopt the tax rate and the budget. At this time, I am going to state a proposed rate of 43.96. That is a significant increase from a year ago at 41.52, going up to 43.96. Now, let me give you some background information on this. If you have read in the paper, you understand that the appraisal district did come up with a value on Luminant. Luminant came up with their value. Some negotiations occurred to try to avoid any further prolonging of a settlement. Not the Appraisal Review Board, but the Titus County Appraisal District Board, at a meeting, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, did not approve accepting a settlement offer of $350 million as the new valuation. Just to give you some perspective there, the last year's value that was the taxable value was $459 million. The appraisal district, with the help of their appraiser, adjusted that down to $429 million, and that is what the Appraisal Review Board approved. Luminant submitted a $232 million valuation for this year, and again, that was rejected by the board with some negotiations there to try to reach a settlement. A $350 million figure was discussed. However, again, that was, Luminant was willing to go up to $350 million. The board at the CAD opted not to accept that. Now, I understand that tomorrow, on Tuesday, there will be another meeting. The same board of directors there from the appraisal district, some attorneys, of course, some folks from Luminant will again meet. Can I predict what the outcome will be? No, I can't. But until we have a better idea, here is the information we get from the appraisal district based upon what their anticipated tax collection is related to the Luminant matter. We must use the $232 million figure. It wouldn't be wise to use the 429 just because the board said this is where we're sticking. If we don't think that that is collectible, and apparently the appraisal district did not think that that was going to be collectible, and certainly not if you're going into a situation where a lawsuit is involved, we would not expect Luminant to render on more than the undisputed amount of $232 million. Therefore, the taxing entities, of which we are one, need to take the conservative route. And we wouldn't want to do it any other way, so we are basing that tax rate on the presumption of a $232 million rendering and payment of taxes. Now, should it go to a lawsuit, and should the county prevail and that amount be bumped upward, then we would get some additional monies paid to us at that time by Luminant. the same situation happened to us 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. And we ultimately collected some of that money back about a year later. So again, there's a number of directions that this situation can go. One of the things that makes this unique, I don't know about interesting, but it makes it unique, is we have a bankruptcy going on. And would this lawsuit take place in a Titus County District Court as you would under normal circumstances if somebody were to not be able to reach an agreement with the appraisal district? Could this be moved to a different location? I think that it absolutely could. Could it be included in the bankruptcy proceedings and be determined by a bankruptcy judge? I think that it could. And that means taking your attorneys and going to Delaware and doing battle up there. So the appraisal district, I believe, is aware of all these different things that are at play, making this a real challenge this year. And hopefully a settlement is in the works, but that's not up to me, it's not up to this commissioner's court, it's up to the appraisal district. And in the meantime, we will propose a tax rate that is based upon what the appraisal district tells us to do. And that is that they expect to be paid $232 million prior to any further settlement. There is this chart here, and I'll make you a copy if you're interested in looking at it, but what I've given to you are county-wide tax values for the last 15 years, from 2000 all the way up through this year's taxable value. I've also given you the TXU or luminant value that was the taxable amount for that particular year. So you can see 14 or 15 years of history. And as I look through there, and then I have a third column here where I'm showing you what percentage of the total taxable value in Titus County is made up of the value of TXU or luminant. And folks, we have had a real strong partner that has paid a lot of our taxes for many, many years. And we've been the beneficiary of that for many years, and when values are going up, and the value of that luminant plant was going up there years ago, gosh, everybody was happy because you could not raise your tax rate. In fact, you could even come down on your tax rate, no problem, because the values kept going up, and we didn't, but we probably should have thanked Luminant and TXU for paying such a high percentage of our taxes. Now we find ourselves in the reversed role, and we see these values coming down. And you may or may not agree with their rationale on why they don't feel like their plant is worth as much, but nonetheless, it is what it is. For example, back in 2008, we had a county-wide value of $2.668 billion, that's with a B. Of that, $1.052 billion was the value placed on the luminant plant. 39.4% of the entire value of real estate in this community was attributable to luminant TXU entities, 39.4%. And prior to that, it had ranged anywhere from 18.5% up to that high point of 39%. Since 2008, luminant's total value in relation to that of the county as a percentage, here's what it's done. Went from 39.4, 35.3, 33.3, 29.8, 24.4, 20.9, and now with their figure of $232 million, it goes to 10.2%. So 10% of the entire values of Titus County is made up of that TXU luminant, or I'll just quit calling it TXU, the luminant value. I don't know that I can expand on it a whole lot more beyond that, but we are not as fortunate as we once were to have Luminant paying as much of our taxes, and now that burden begins to shift more towards us. We certainly wish and hope that TXU Luminant will be around for a long time here in our area, and I hope that someday we will be able to see that company's performance improve and these values begin to start creeping back up. But again, this is where we are right now, and last year's $459 million value, which produced 20.9% of the value within the county, that's going to be settled either there or at the 10.2% or somewhere in between. But there's just not a whole lot that you can do when you're faced with a situation like this, whether you're the county or the hospital or the college. You've got to deal with it somehow. And you can make some budget cuts, but you can't make up that much ground, and therefore we are where we are here with a proposed tax rate of 43.96. Questions, comments? Again, this is not a hearing day, proposal day. We will have plenty of opportunity to hear from the audience about decisions that the county is making. These same decisions are being made at the school and the college as well, and so we covet your prayers as we figure out the best way to deal with this.
Well, I believe that it's really ridiculous that we have went up since 2011. It was 33.9. We have collected $9.5 million every year in taxes by increasing the rate of property values. The rate, not the property value. As they went down, we increased them. And their years was 2.74, 11.16 that year. And out of these last 4 years, we have given the county employees and ourselves 2 raises, while at the same time the economy was bad, other people are cutting. So this year we're sticking it to the taxpayers one more time. We're going to give it to them again with no cuts in the budget. We haven't made any in 4 years that I've been coming to these meetings. We've made some little flowery cuts. Instead of, having 45 million accrual, we cut it to 30 million, and nothing significant, no cuts. We just keep spending money. Just like the retirement we talked about in the meetings, we could cut it to $2 instead of $2.50. I believe it'd save us about $93,000 this coming year. But instead, we left it alone. Just things like that. We never seen all of these things on the agenda today was spend more money, spend more money, spend more money. There's never an end. You always want something. You always need something. In my house, I need something all the time, but I don't have the money to buy it, and I can't raise taxes. So we just stick it to the people. We don't cut the county employees. You would think this Commissioners Court worked for the county employees. When they started griping about the retirement, the insurance, we cave in and we're good. But that's the reason in my mind, we're doing it to take care of our elected officials, our buddies. 120 people determine how much money our tax rate actually. We don't worry about the taxpayer. We justify it. $26, Carl says, all it costs per 80,000. I don't quite understand that, but the school board going to raise theirs. They say their value is 53,000. The college says their value is 100,000 per average house. I don't know what it is. And property values we're talking about, the rates. So I just think it's a shame when we don't have the courage to do the right things in this Commissioners Court rather than just raise taxes and accrue the same amount of money. I think it's a cowardly way to do things, and I don't think we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Well, I resent being called a coward because has nothing to do with my decision here. I don't like this any more than you do, and to say that we haven't made any cuts is a misstatement. To say that we're doing this as a cowardly move because we don't have the courage, as far as I'm concerned, that's not my decision. But, you know, I listened to you a couple of meetings ago tell those employees, hey, y'all are underpaid, and you were very sympathetic towards them, and I appreciated hearing that side of it. But you can't have it all. You can't cut employee benefits and then turn around and tell them how sympathetic that you are towards them. Now, I know that you would like to see some other cuts made, and we have still have some time that we can do that here in these next few weeks. I've talked enough. That's just, you know, I don't like being called a coward.
I didn't say they were underpaid. They're not overpaid. The hourly paid people, our elected officials are overpaid. I can tell you. You look at all the counties our size, they're all overpaid. Nearly all of them. So that's what I was emphasizing when I said that. I didn't mean I was sympathizing they were underpaid, but there's a limit to that retirement fund. They don't know what it's going to be next year, and we're at 10%, making up. It's 8%, but anyway, that's another subject. We discussed all that. We could save a lot of money, and you decided that we had a little cut. Next year could be a little increase. But I guess that's already done.
Nothing's done until you approve it. Nothing's done at all.
18.
Ma'am?
Number 18.
Oh, I meant as far as approving of the tax rate and the budget, we haven't done that yet. We're proposing a tax rate today, 43.96. At this time, that does not include any employee raises, elected official raises, etc. I personally will have a slight adjustment to that based upon some things that you all heard during the presentation by the sheriff. I believe that we have a situation there that we need to address with some raises in some positions there, but that is not included in this rate at this time. Any other comments?
Say that one more time now about the sheriff's deal.
This 43.96 does not include any raises whatsoever. And there will be, again, opportunities. Today we're only proposing a rate. We've still got to go through a budget hearing and then tax rate hearings, all of which can change up or down depending upon what you guys want to do.
But we're going to give some raises to the sheriff department, is that what you're saying?
We are only going to do what this board votes on doing. I'm just simply expressing my opinion. I had asked Carl when he originally had worked on this budget, it was my wish that we address some shortcomings I felt in some positions within the sheriff's department. I understand that there's not total agreement there amongst us, so that'll be an area that we'll discuss, but I'm going to propose a slight adjustment there which should have a very small impact on this rate, but that is not included in this 43.96. This is raise free is my understanding.
That's correct. There are no adjustments for the sheriff's people in the budget.
I understand that, but you're doing what he's going to save from those other, from his holdback or whatever you might call it, and they're going to give raises with that.
No.
Well, I thought that's what he said.
No, what Brian's saying, what the judge is saying is that during the course of y'all's conversations, he's going to propose that you put that back in the budget. I think
That's right. That's right.
Not in the proposed budget, not in the tax rate, not in
And I've stated my opinions on that. Where if we do that in one department, I want it done in my department with my holdback, with my guys.
All right.
We've all talked about all these numbers a lot. It's a difficult thing to do. We actually are collecting based on the numbers. A little less property taxes would be $9,317,000. Last year was $9,364,000. So we've actually cut the taxes a little bit. The collections that the county makes, but when those valuations get changed around, we talk about somebody who's being a taxpayer as they are. it's gonna have a big effect on your numbers. The big number, they went up to $1 billion in valuation in 2008. That's the year that they got bought out. They paid a lot of money to buy them. Those numbers went into all the calculations of how much the company was worth, the property was worth, but they were willing to pay that much to buy it. In hindsight, it looks like they overpaid for the property. That wasn't the appraisal district's charge to determine how much they should have paid for the property. It was based on those sales figures, and those numbers went up for 2 or 3 years there before they started coming back down because of the EPA concerns and the different issues there. But it's $800,000 of a hit to the county's budget when you take those low values into play. There is nowhere in the budget. You might could save $90,000 if you wanted to change the way you handle the deal. That's not going to come close to covering an $800,000 hole in your budget. Judge Lee asked me, he said, is there any way we could cut across the board? But you can't cut. You can't cut.
Have you got a mic that's on, by the way?
There's a lot of areas where we spend most of our money that you really can't cut. You can't cut court costs. You can't cut autopsies. You can't cut, I mean, there's different things that we don't have any control over. The only area you really have control over that's a big number is salaries. And the only way you're going to cut that kind of number in salaries is to lay people off. And that's not obviously an option you have to do, but and 60 of the 120 employees work in the sheriff's department.
There's a,
you know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, I mean, I know it's a hard decision. I'm a taxpayer too. All of us in here are taxpayers, but, you know.
That we spend about half of that budget for police protection, fire protection. About half of that, all of our budget. Fire and chief, we got half of that. We have to have that. So it's a matter with every other thing that comes up, just like spending $1 million on this annex or more on the Riddle Street. When it comes up to spending money, we don't back off of nothing. They can come here and ask any charity, anybody. We're right in there to give money away, the taxpayers' money, and it's not our money to give away. And I just, I think that we were used to, we had a 12.5% tax rate with 2 power plants. Why not? But times have changed, and we need to change also. And I think that there's a lot of money, just, you know, little money here and there, dollars here and there. It's just a matter of...
I will say this, Commissioner. I compare us a lot to Hopkins County when I'm doing work with the numbers because we're in the same part of the state. We're pretty comparable size-wise. They don't have the luxury of having the 2 power plants that we have, and their tax rate's 55 cents, roughly.
Well, that's right. But when you put our college and our hospital district, we exceed Hopkins County.
Yes, well, we may. I don't know, but I'm certainly glad we've got the college and they don't. I mean,
they don't have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad we got it and they don't. I'd rather us have the college and we pay those taxes than them have the college and we save those taxes. I think it's worth a lot of money to this community.
Almost every one of their elected officials make less than our elected officials, too. Not a lot, but
I don't know if all of them do. They pay all of them the same amount, or they did the last time I checked with them. So their constable and stuff may make as much as ours or more. I don't know that. But they pay all of theirs the same amount.
The commissioners don't.
$52,000 or $53,000.
Commissioners are less than ours, but they do have a car. They give them a pickup truck to drive.
All right, anything else, gentlemen? All right, well, I need a motion on this. And again, I sure hope that I can come back and make a significant downward adjustment to this proposed tax rate if we're able to reach an agreement with Luminant.
You said you know that they're meeting tomorrow. Is that what?
I don't know that we'll know any. I know that they're meeting tomorrow. Will they take action tomorrow? I don't know. But for example, if they had agreed, if they would reach that 350, and I'm not saying they will, I'm just saying if they did, which was, you know, somewhere between 429 and 232, you know, we could cut this down to less than half of this 2.42 cent increase. What will happen, I don't know. We may continue to see lower values with the power plant in years to come, and we may face this, you know, next year as well. I'm prepared for it. I'm looking forward to that day when our plant gets some good news and that natural gas prices are going up, or the EPA is not as restrictive as they were. But until then, we adjust with what we have.
I don't know if Judge Dutchall, you actually have to make a vote to propose the rate of the INS separate from the M&O. The INS rate that he's proposing is 0.1496. The M&O rate is 0.29.
Say that one more time, Carl.
The INS rate is 0.1496. The M&O rate is 0.29. That's a total of 0.4396.
Well, I'll go ahead and put that in the form of a motion. I'll propose an M&O rate of 29 cents and an interest and sinking rate of 14.96 cents.
Second.
Got a motion and a second by Commissioner Fields. All in.
1.4. You said 14.
Well, I'm calling it, I'm putting it in form of cents. 0.1496, 0.1496 and 0.2900 for a total of 43.96. And that is 2.42 cents per $100,000 of value, which equates to roughly a $24 additional tax bill on a $100,000 home. Motion and a second. You ready for a vote? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
All right. Okay, item number 18. Back to visit this one more time. Consider and possibly make changes to retiree health insurance policy. We tabled this on the 25th. We were short a member of Commissioners Court. We felt like it was appropriate to postpone this meeting until today. I will go back over the things that are under consideration if you would like, but essentially the way that we are right now, if we do not make any changes today, the changes that we put into place back on the 21st would result in some of our long-tenured employees not having retiree health insurance here as quickly as a year from now, when they retire with having met the rules and having had their 20-plus years or wherever they are of service to the county, plus their age, plus their minimum of 8 continuous years of service. These folks would not be included. And so the question here is, who else are we going to grandfather in to this retiree health insurance policy? We had talked about bringing in about 7 employees that had all worked 15-plus years. We had talked about, and I believe that was Commissioner Riddle's agreement, that we could bring in those 15-plus years of tenure people. We have a couple of our commissioners that are in favor of allowing all current employees to be grandfathered in. And then I believe that I had stated that I liked a cutoff of 8 years. If you have met the 8-year work requirement, then you would be eligible. We had also talked about strengthening and enforcing our policy that currently exists, where a retiree that leaves and takes a job somewhere else that offers any kind of health insurance, then the county would no longer be responsible there. But we have a situation where we have, because we have employees that have started at an early age and have worked long years for the county, we have a situation where we could be possibly paying their retiree health insurance 10, 12, 15 years. So we're shoving a big liability well into the future. Will people retire at 50, 55, 60? I don't know. Will they still be around? I don't know. Obviously, everybody that is currently on the employee list will not still be around long enough to take advantage of this, but nonetheless, some of them are. We currently have about 6 or 7 retirees that we're paying for, along with eligibility of their spouse. We will see that number increase in years ahead, because this was just a change that was made 10 or 12 years ago, and now we're starting to see folks come online to receive this benefit. So we can talk about other changes to make, but without knowing of a better place to start, I would say, have you had any different thoughts on grandfathering in some of our current employees, some, none, all of them, so that those that have got a significant investment in Titus County in terms of years worked here would not be denied that retiree health insurance until they reach the minimum age of 60. We're not eliminating it for current employees. We're just requiring a minimum retirement age of 60 years old instead of, you know, as young as you can possibly be.
You know, we've sat here and argued about saving money on taxes and not cutting taxes and raising taxes. And we're talking about something right now that could cost the county a whole lot of money. It could be a big, big expenditure at some point in time. You know, I got mixed emotions about all of it.
Do you have your notes, if we went back and grandfathered all the people with 8 years, effective this year, how many people would that add? Which 7, we know that 15 years, if you drop down to 54 years, would take care of them.
I'd hate to quote a number. I can't remember, to tell you the truth. I've got them in there. I didn't bring them in here today. I wanted to say it was some, I'm just guessing, I want to say it was 25 or 30 employees. I don't remember.
That many?
I just don't remember. But I could get that information. Yes, you're right. It is a tough decision. It is a tough decision.
I don't know. I would be in favor of the, I don't know what year we would start. I'd like to work it up, but if there's anybody under 8, just grandfather people with 8 years, let it go. They've already earned their retirement when they and then start. But I don't know what year you would have to start to.
When you say they've already earned their retirement, they've not earned it yet. They've just they've just vested themselves.
Right.
Well, what we're saying, to clarify, and what Commissioner Riddle is saying is, with this decision today, we know that we're setting a minimum retirement age of 60. Now, who are we going to require to be 60? If we go and change somebody who next year is looking at the ability to retire at 55, for example, and we set a new minimum, then we're saying, sorry, next year when July rolls around, you've got to work here 5 more years if you had planned on retiring. So again, we've established 60 as a new minimum retirement age, but who are we going to require to meet that? And we have, right now, you're going to require, the way we voted on the 21st, you're going to require everybody that works here to be 60 years of age. And that was going to be a real hit to about 7 employees who have got 16 plus years here, I believe 15 plus years, and some of whom are within less than a year of being able to take advantage of that. What Commissioner Riddle is saying is he might consider allowing anybody that as of today or as of the 1st of January, whenever you decide to make it effective, anybody that has worked for 8 years minimum would be grandfathered in and would not have a minimum age requirement. Commissioners Fields and Hinton were feeling that anybody that was currently an employee should be grandfathered in. Well, obviously, if you expand that employee pool from 7 people to 25 people to 120 people, that results in a larger future liability. And I tried to kind of reflect that in those calculations that I had given to you. Is although you'll have larger annual expenses related to paying the premiums of these folks, mostly what you're doing is you're just shoving that liability forward over a longer period of time. Rather than lumping it all up in the next few years and having huge expenditures in any one given year, you're just saying we're going to keep doing this for another 40 years before it finally winds down.
Brian, there is one other point. You did, in the original deal, you did grandfather in anybody that was already eligible.
Anybody, and I didn't clarify that. If you have already met 8 years continuous service and the rule of 75, this decision is not about you. And we have some current employees that are clearly under that case. They could leave today and collect those benefits in the form.
20 employees, there's probably 20 of them that are already covered.
Could be. There again, that'd be a guess on my part. Well, thank you. All right. Lou has provided me with this, and I think this will answer your question. If you were to grandfather in the 15-year plus people, that brings 7 people in that don't fall under that requirement. If you did it at 12 years, or excuse me, at 12 years, that would add another 2 people to that 7. If you cut it off at 10 years, that would add another 7 people. And if you went all the way down to 8 years plus, that would be a total of 26 people that would be grandfathered in.
And that meaning that they could retire with their 30 years or the rule of 75, those people.
Yes, and not have a 60-year minimum requirement. And anybody that has worked here for less than 8 years must achieve a minimum age of 60 in addition to those other requirements. So they couldn't retire at 50 or 55 and get that benefit.
60? No.
60.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would recommend that.
Could you live with 8 years?
But I would like to make the date October 1, the fiscal year.
October 1, okay.
And not
to help you put that into a form of a motion, which is where I think I'm going to agree, the proposal would be that current employees be grandfathered in if they have achieved 8 years of service to the county as of October 1, 2014. And that would mean that those that do have that 8 years minimum would not be subject to the 60-year minimum retirement age to receive employee health premium benefits.
That's correct.
And I will second that. All those in favor of grandfathering in the 8-year plus people as of October 1, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, opposed?
No. I think we'll go with the 60 years myself.
Which one?
All those people in.
With 15? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, just so that I understand kind of where you're feeling, you think everybody who's a current employee ought to reach a minimum of 60 years of age?
The one we've already approved, whatever they're, we've already.
Well, the only ones that we've approved are those that have already met the requirement. If you have somebody, for example, here's an example, 27-year employee who is eligible to retire next June with 27 years, right now we're going to tell them next year on their 54th birthday, sorry, you got to keep working here because we're not paying you those benefits that you were expecting.
The county's an indigent taxing.
I respect your opinion.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. If he's got he said 15. If we got 27 years.
They haven't yet met the rule of 75.
Right.
But Commissioner Hockaday is saying he doesn't, everybody in the county, except for those that have already met the requirement, should be required to work to 60.
Oh, I thought he said down to 15 years.
No.
No, he said that, yeah.
We say leave it like we've got it.
Leave it like we've got it with no change.
Right now you got 2 full.
So now we're essentially down to these two gentlemen that have not voted, and I'm giving them a chance to ponder this, because this is one of the bigger decisions that we've made here, certainly related to employee benefits.
I'll have to go with the 8 years.
All right, that gets me 3 votes. I've got a nay from Commissioner Hockaday and Commissioner Fields.
You know, of course, I know you know how our feelings are on this. If you're working for the county and you start this off with any new employees, they understand right from the start that 30, 40 years from now, they're not going to be drawing that. So that's what I'd rather do. But what Mr. Riddle said about the 8 years being vested and go from there, you're looking at what, 26?
Bringing 26 people in and their spouse if that's a situation that they're interested in, not free coverage, but at the current rates. That brings another 26 people in that will not have a 60-year minimum requirement.
I will go with that.
All right. That brings the vote to 4-1. Thank you for all the time you spent thinking about this, and thank you for those employees that have, assisted us with this decision. Item number 19, consider and possibly approve travel and seminars. First request is from Leonard Rockwell. He would like to send his staff, all 3 of himself plus his 2 employees, to NETA Quarterly Conference in Sherman, Texas on the 4th of September. Let's see. I guess they're there now. So they carpooled over there. They've got, looks like $10 a meal times 3 plus the mileage. And that was last week, and I asked him to go ahead and submit that. This next one is my request to attend the Fall Judicial Education Session in Austin. This is mandatory for me to meet my minimum hours each year. Training would be the 18th, 19th, 20th of November. Cost of registration $100, $140 worth of meals, $414 worth of hotel, plus mileage to and from Austin, $994, less what will be reimbursed by Texas Association of Counties, and I believe I've got about $750 per year that I can request from them. So hopefully that keeps, if they're still making that reimbursement, and as of the other day they were, that puts it down at about $250 cost to the county. And Judy Cook submitted, just wanted you to hear this statement. Dear Commissioners, I have the opportunity to take some online courses for required continuing education credits. The cost for 10 courses is $330. I will provide receipts and certificates when I complete these courses so I can be reimbursed. While she's not traveling, this is a seminar-related expense. I wanted to get it approved, but I also wanted to say this is money well spent if she can take 10 courses and get that much continuing education for $330. That's all, just these 3.
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Hinton for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 20, approve oral and written reports.
get cold, boy.
We'll buy some county windbreakers and hang on a coat rack when we.
I need one.
Yeah, we haven't done anything. Good. Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, we're just waiting on action whenever you're ready to.
Make a motion to approve board reports.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 21, consider and possibly approve treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton for approval, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 22, approved budget amendments.
Judge, I've got number 63. This is on the adult probation. This is at $2,141 on the computer network. What we had to do, I went ahead and added the $850 that you approved today for the not that big. I added the sheet, so that's an emergency budget provision because it's coming out of fund balance for that, for those bills. But that's going to bring that number up to 228. And I've got those other figures out. Result probation demolition, and it also includes not only the demolition, but it was $65,669. The election building, we budgeted $185,000. That's all. That's not going to be spent this year. It's been moved to next year's budget. We'll get spent $12,000 of that already. So, and I think the last time I talked to Chris, she's already left. I think in next year's budget I put in $200,000 because he thought there might be some other things that showed up that we might need to make amendments for. So, anyway, that's what that number is. The jail renovation is $24,400. And the adult probation renovation so far is going to be $229,100.
All right, one item here. That includes the $2,141 plus $850 to do the computer network and telephone wiring plus the $850 engineering fees.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton for approval on that one item. Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approval of those budget amendments, that one, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 23, sign pay orders and approve payments.
Make a motion to pay bills.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton to pay the bills.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 24, closing comments. We'll diligently move forward with Precinct 2's needs. We will cross our fingers and pray and hope to have a ribbon cutting next Tuesday. And don't forget this Thursday, big celebration on the east parking lot for our new In the Line of Duty Memorial, recently adjusted to include Cleve Johnson. That's all I have. Commissioner Fields?
Just, if everything goes forward, if we're able to open it, we should know in the next few days. I know Bob Ratcliffe will be coming up here, and right now, all the information I'm getting, everything looks like we're going to be able to open. I don't see any anything right now that would hold us back. So tentatively next Tuesday at 9 o'clock, it's set to lose as soon as we find out detail and everything. Sometime this week I'll holler at you or talk to the judge and he can holler at you.
Commissioner Riddle? Commissioner Riddle, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. I was noticing my thermometer this morning was at 71 degrees early this morning, and here it looks like, just like TxDOT predicted here on the 8th of September, we're about to dip into the 60s. So I trust those guys. I hate the fact that we haven't got seal coat weather, but I don't want to be putting out seal coat, and I'm glad TxDOT requires that because we want a quality job. So
I have nothing, Judge.
I don't have anything, thank you.
all right, thanks everyone for your patience. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.